Welcome to Talking Buffalo, featuring conversations with guests from around the world of sports, media, pop culture, and all things Buffalo. With your host, Patrick Moran.
All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo sports talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you very much, as always, for locking in, whether you're watching or listening, following, subscribing. I do appreciate you all. Before we get into today's episode, I want to remind you again that this Saturday, July 20th, all day long, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Western New York Heroes Event Center. It's at 1001 East Delavan, first ever Mafia Con. Food trucks, vendors, beer, tailgate experience, media personalities, Bills player appearances and autograph opportunities, including Keon Coleman, Cole Bishop, Dwayne Carter, Terrell Bernard, and Dorian Williams will all be there. Also live podcasts all day long, including this one. I'll be on live there from 3:15 to 4 p.m. I'll be joined by special guest Tim Graham of The Athletic. All proceeds benefit the Punt Foundation and Western New York Heroes, Inc. $20 get you in the door. Well worth it. A very good cause. Visit BuffaloMafiaCon.com for more tickets. That's Saturday. Today, well, actually, Wednesday night, if you're watching us on the video side, we're actually live here. And I got in studio with me first time in a solid month, man. Long time buddy, Tone Bucks. What's going on, man? Busy writing down some stuff there.
I am busy writing down some stuff because, you know, I could easily forget them in 15 seconds. Let me see. Hold on. Two things that came to mind right there. That was a solid promo read. Fucking solid,
Thank
man.
you, man.
All right. I mean, you know, you hit on it. Enunciation was good. All right. You know, good voice inflection in the right spots. That was a solid ad read.
Appreciate that.
This was my other thing I wrote down. Do you consider yourself, all right, when you talk about media personalities, do you slot yourself into media personality?
No, as much as I'd like to say so. No, I don't consider myself a media
Humble and
personality.
hungry, this kid. Humble and hungry.
Tim Graham's definitely a media personality, though.
Yeah,
He'll
and
be
you
with
got
me on
him.
the
And
show.
you know what? Something that really flew under the radar this past week was my hashtag pandering pays. That was fucking funny, man. All right. And it was so accurate as well. Listen, we bust your chops. All right. You are. But I think of you more in a complimentary way. I would compare you to Will McAvoy from the terrific HBO show Newsroom, where, you know, he doesn't try to, you know, upset either side. You play a terrific middle. You're very, and it's not disingenuous. Like, you genuinely don't like to fucking beef with people and stuff like that. So
Sure.
you're friendly to them. You can laugh at yourself too. That's big. So for all your kiss assness, which is absolutely rib worthy, all right, you also have built yourself a reputation. Have a Tim Graham, a very, very, very good guy, all right, to have on that row. And he'll be joining you, and that's a good job. That's a good job by you. But it doesn't excuse, all right, it doesn't excuse the fact that when these events come up, even just, you know, things that you're doing at wing places and stuff like that, that, like, I'm never in any sort of consideration whatsoever. All right. I kind of feel like the fine, but a little too slutty girlfriend that you ain't trying to parade out in front of your fucking esteemed colleagues.
You're the late night call?
No, I ain't that.
Right.
I ain't that. All right. We got a thing. All right. We got a thing, but you ain't exactly trying to show me off. And that's, I'm sure there's a lot of ladies out there listening right now or watching. All right. That, well, probably not a lot, but, you know, a few of y'all hoes. Sorry. Can we strike that? A few of y'all hoes have been that. No, I'm playing. But, we know the story.
It took, all right, now we're watching it. We're doing it on the video side anyway. We're doing live here. We're 5 minutes in. Ryan Galvin, our buddy, I had to put this comment up already. Stop blowing each other and get to sports. That is in true Ryan form. We are going to get to sports in a few.
That is that is exactly the transition that this show needed right now. All right. Right. Shout out.
Let me give a little bit of a little bit of a preview of what we're going to talk about today. Somebody tweeted, I don't know who it was on Twitter, but somebody had made a tweet on Wednesday afternoon, kind of alluding to the Buffalo Bills not really having anything exciting going on going into training camp to keep your eyes on or to be excited about for the season other than Josh Allen. And my buddy Aaron Quinn from Cover One, shout out to him. He put out a really good tweet listing a bunch of things that he thinks Bills fans should be excited about. I kind of want to go through that list with you, non-Josh Allen things. I want to go through that list with you. I want to get your thoughts, whether you think those are things to be excited about or maybe a little bit overplayed. So we'll hit on that. We're going to talk a little bit about quarterback offseason, I should say quarterback debates, which I know that you're not a big fan of. We'll hit on that as well because they are really getting out of hand, especially it's that time of year, dude. People have run out of things to talk about before training camp starts. So been a lot of that shit going on. We'll kind of hit on that. We'll talk a little bit of Buffalo Sabres later in the show and whatever else.
Yeah, because we haven't caught up since since any Sabre off season stuff. A couple Twitter exchanges maybe, but I had some doozies. I had some bad takes in there. Like I thought they were going whale fishing, hunting, shopping. Yeah. I thought they were going big game hunting. That's what I want. And they didn't do that. But I don't think I'm as down on it as others. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. Let's get started with Bills camp. Now is less than a week away. And obviously most Bills fans are very excited for the start of that. Most Bills fans are excited for the season. But like I said, there are some out there that kind of just don't think this is going to be a good year. This is a step back year. There's people out there who think that this team just doesn't, outside of Josh Allen, of course, just doesn't have a lot to be excited about. And I want to reference, I'm not going to pull it up on the screen, but I'm definitely going to reference a tweet that Aaron Quinn put out today. And I'm going to kind of go like point by point. There's a handful of them with you. And you tell me if these are something to be excited about or just how much validity you think they have. And I'll just go in order the way he did it, not necessarily in order of importance. And I might ask you a couple follow-up things along the way as well. But let's start with Taron Johnson. Okay, the first thing Aaron says is Taron Johnson is an all-pro. I mean, that is, I don't know if that's exciting, so to speak, but, he's one of those guys on this team that, I did an episode last week about Josh Allen almost being taken for granted in a way because you don't really even talk about how good he is much. But Taron Johnson, when you're talking about the Bills, all these guys they lose, couple of additions, he's barely even talked about. And this guy is quite literally an all-pro corner. He's one of the best slot corners in the entire NFL.
I think there's still plenty of us out there mispronouncing the name because you want to know why I know we mispronounce the name? It's because we toggle between the two pronunciations, just kind of hoping to be right 50% of the time. Right?
That is fair.
I feel like I do that with them. Great take. And something, yes, to be excited about because and it might be a little too late because it is, I think he could potentially be nearing regression. I know it's real early in his career for that, but
so physical.
There's just something about it.
Yeah.
So I hope we're not too late to that party of looking forward, to Taron Johnson playing football. So I like it. But what I wanted to ask you is this the same? Was this an article that was attached to a tweet that I saw that I loved that was basically comparing Khalil Shakir to Taron Johnson? It said Khalil Shakir is basically, the offense's Taron Johnson. I'm pretty sure it was Quinn who
might have been
who made that reference. And I was like, damn,
I didn't see it, but
that's spot on. I don't like much shit, so I could find it in my likes because I did like it.
Yeah, you're not a person who likes a lot of tweets. You're not a person who hits that like button often.
Let me tell you something that I do though. Unrelated, not always, definitely not Bills related. I like something that I feel like I'm going to go back to my list of likes, all right, to get a good laugh or a smile from. And then you want to know what happens? I never go back to those likes. You know what I mean? It's all got to be fresh scrolling. But I like to, my attempt there is to build a like section where I could scroll and, smile and
makes sense.
And enjoy. And I never get around to it. I don't even know where we were.
Well, let me say this, because you brought up Khalil Shakir.
Yes.
Originally, I was going to ask you, because we're going to talk about Terrell Bernard in a minute. That's one of the points that Aaron brought up. I would say, I was going to ask you, who is this year's Terrell Bernard? But you can't, I don't think Khalil Shakir is the right answer, because Terrell Bernard, and what I meant by that is who's going to come out of literally nowhere and be good. I don't think there's, let's put it this way. There's a lot of people who already think Khalil Shakir is going to be good. So that doesn't quantify. However, you're comparing him to Taron Johnson. That's 50% right there.
That's right, baby.
Anyway, he's literally an all-pro slot corner. I'm not saying
I got my answer.
I'm not sure.
I got my answer, and I'm excited about it. So excited I'm dropping my glasses.
Kind of falls in the middle.
I got my answer.
All right, what is it?
It's going to be a new member of the roster.
Who's going to be this year's Terrell Bernard? Let's save it.
That's as far as I'm going with my answer. All right. I'm not ready to just say
I agree with
Mike Edwards. I'm not just ready to say Cole Bishop. You know what I mean? All I'm saying, and I'm including draft picks in that, is, I think it's going to be a new member of this roster.
I got one who I do think is a new member and one who's actually a returning veteran. We'll get to that in a second, though. So, yeah, Taron Johnson, definitely somebody to be excited about. Next point he made was Ed Oliver. He said, and this is from Aaron, Ed Oliver was a top defensive tackle in the NFL and playing borderline all-pro level. My first thought was that's silly that he was playing at all-pro level, although he played pretty well early in the season. Then I saw an article in The Athletic.
About a 6-game stretch.
Today, I saw an article in The Athletic. It was splash plays per percentage of snaps, and he was 4th in the league. And guess who was 2nd, by the way? He's not included in this list because Aaron didn't put him up there, but A.J. Epinesa, 2nd in the NFL, average or percentage of splash plays per snaps.
I may have even liked it. You tweeted that. You tweeted the Epinesa thing. I may have liked it because, it was a good stat. It was a good, informative tweet. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, man, some mornings you just start off slow as fuck with your tweets. They suck, right? You just feel like you got to say something by 9 o'clock.
I do too. I literally do. I got to get my morning tweets in, man. No matter. Sometimes they're not the most well thought out thing. I tweeted about Cobra Kai coming out, which, by the way, that's dropping on Thursday. That shit is dropping Netflix the first half today, that's Thursday, funny, and man. I will watch literally the entire first half of that season. But anyway, back to Ed, man. How much does Ed move the needle for you in terms of, I guess, excitement, fan excitement? How much does he move the needle in terms of just being an impact player for you?
He's a great follow-up to Taron Johnson. All right. Aaron is basically spot on once again. All right. If you believe that, that Oliver is those things and he can disrupt the football game like that, then you're going to be excited to see that happen because, those are fun plays. Defensive line splash plays make a season, man. They're fun. They change games. He's still an incomplete, fan favorite. If not, what exactly is his status in the league? He's still somewhat of an incomplete grade there. So, yeah, man, the Bills will need him. The Bills will need him.
Well, the Bills need him.
And he plays a position that you can get excited for. We ain't going to get excited for, anyone on the offensive line. We might like a nice guard battle in camp and wonder how the rookie center measures up, some shit like that for people that dig deeper. But, as far as the, Aaron's piece is concerned, who to get excited about. Yes, those two defensive players can impact the game in the ways that that's definitely exciting. They're just not new, though. You know what I mean? Like I credit Aaron, honestly, and this is sounding like an Aaron love fest, but I like it. I like the two choices so far. And if the comparison to Shakir offensively was, if I'm right, that was part of it as well. He's hitting. See, Aaron Quinn is hitting on content leading into training camp. All right. And there's a lot of people, and I got no beef with it. I really don't, man. A lot of it's just, that they want to engage with people, and this is what people engage with.
Sure.
But that the quarterback debates and my Allen being Miami's daddy, and the back and forth with that. It's the boringest part of the offseason for me.
Agreed.
Give me Quinn shit. All right. Remind me that I got Taron Johnson, who makes a big difference in these ball games. Do this to remind me that, I don't suck on the inside of my defensive line too. All right. Remind me of them cool things, as I head into camp in a week.
Well, I don't completely agree about the Ed Oliver. I'm just going to be honest.
Well, you're an Oliver hater because he disappears in the playoffs.
Is that nothing?
Is not nothing, but you're not an Oliver guy, so you can't get excited about Oliver, no matter how much you think he might impact the game in the regular season, because you got to see him do it in the playoffs.
He's a splash guy. He's a 6-week splash player.
It's a you problem that you're not going to be able to enjoy a game-changing Ed Oliver strip sack. All right, when we need it in the regular season
in early October,
because you're gonna be, do it in January, guy. And
is that wrong though?
I'm sorry that you won't be able to enjoy the moment.
It's not wrong.
He's gonna need to do it. He's gonna need to affect a playoff game, or at least be on a team that gets to a Super Bowl, so we're not mad at him for not affecting playoff games.
All right, let me say this too. Aaron, and in Aaron's defense, he put out a tweet and just he ran off some random thoughts and threw it out there. It wasn't like he sat there and tried to pen a journalistic post to put out there. So you can't hold him to what he's saying word for word. But I will in this case anyway. He says Ed Oliver was a top defensive tackle in the NFL. I don't buy it, dude. I don't think you could be a top defensive tackle in the NFL and do absolutely jack shit in the playoffs. 2 straight years, not even just this year. The last 2 years, the Bills have lost in the playoffs. They've gotten 0 from Ed Oliver. Literally 0. He's been one of the worst players on the field for the Buffalo Bills in their last 2 elimination losses. So that's where I have a tough time saying somebody's a top defensive tackle. And I especially have a hard time saying somebody is like a borderline all-pro level defensive tackle, because all pros step up when it matters. Chris Jones steps up when it matters. Ed Oliver has face planted back-to-back years in elimination losses. So I just can't get behind that. He'll look good against the Minnesota Vikings in October, though. And he'll rack up 4 sacks in 3 weeks. Put it up there. So.
Did you listen to that song I sent you?
No, I didn't.
Earlier today? You're such an asshole. You really need to listen to that song.
I will at some point.
It is fabulous.
By the way,
good.
I was going to say a little quick detour here. I never, ever drink on our show.
These are amazing, and honestly,
Surfside,
as a man who comes from a marketing family, i.e., my mother was a marketing exec.
Yeah, these are. Really
I think I'm on the horn with them tomorrow. I think I'm trying to get you. No, not you. They will sponsor whenever I'm on.
When you're on,
they will sponsor whenever I'm on. Yes.
All right, let's move on here to another point. Back to Terrell Bernard. We hinted at him earlier. Aaron said Bernard put up awesome numbers and could have been in consideration for second team All-Pro. Absolutely. You think about, and let's add Matt Milano, because Matt Milano's not mentioned. You have what Terrell Bernard did last year, especially before, the injury. Slowed down a tiny, tiny bit, but he was still, for his first year as a starter, I thought he was special. Matt Milano is one of the best off-ball linebackers in the entire NFL. Yeah, I know this is a rhetorical question asking you about Terrell Bernard being on the excitement list. But yeah, he's one of those guys, I don't know about All-Pro, but he's certainly a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker, and he's a difference maker. Man, oh man, was I ever wrong about that dude last summer? Holy shit!
Do you guys in the podcasting game give each other nicknames? Like if I like
hockey?
No, yeah, like what I say. Looks like Quinner wanted to remind us about the defense today.
No,
looks like Quinner.
That's hockey. Those are hockey. Maybe the hockey. Maybe Baker.
Maury. What would you be?
Matt Fairburn, Chris Baker.
Just be Patty, probably.
Yeah, Patty.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Yeah, but it sounds like Aaron wanted to throw a little content out there about some damn good returning players on the defensive side of football. I dig it. I can get excited about Terrell Bernard too, and the return of Matt Milano. All right. Here's the thing that I think will be kind of on pins and needles with is Milano coming off the biggie and losing Bernard down the stretch. All right. I think we're going to be really nervous about the health of those two. Now, I do think that we have some underrated depth behind them. Went and got a couple, NFL veterans, guys. I think in the case of was it Taron Jones or whatever, the kid from Atlanta, he's 7-year player in the league, drafted I think in the second round as a good cover back. And Morrow, like they didn't ignore the loss of Dodson,
correct,
which was good.
Yeah,
and we're not even mentioning Dorian Williams. So I like the position.
I like Dorian Williams.
Yeah, I like the position a ton. I like our team a lot.
I know you do.
I like our team a lot. The only thing since the last time I saw you, and it was relatively recent, maybe even within the past week, the only thing that gave me pause is the early schedule. There's a murderer's row. All right. I don't remember since I've been a fan of the Bills. It may have happened, but I've been a schedule guy, for as far back as I can remember. Probably less so actually in recent years, but the 3 straight roadies, man, no bye in between, nothing like that. 3 straight tough roadies, like weeks, fucking, what is it, 3 through 6 or 4 through 7, something like that.
Starts with,
I hate it, bro. I hate it. We have, a target on us. All right. We are as much as the Chiefs.
I gotta look it up as you're talking. Go ahead.
As much as the Chiefs are the team that everybody's chasing, everybody still pretty much feels like Buffalo's the team they've got to get decidedly better than, to challenge. And we're gonna see these teams best, man. You got it up now. I mean, I haven't looked, but if it's something like Baltimore, Houston, and the Jets.
Yeah, well, at Miami, Jacksonville at home, at Baltimore, at Houston, at the New York Jets.
Boom, right there. Games. Oh no, 4 through 6.
Yeah,
4 through 6. Anything less than 2-1 out of those first 3, and we're in trouble.
13 through 15 is hard as well.
Anything less than 2-1 out of those first 3, and we're in trouble. And if you're someone who expects to beat Miami in Miami, then you should be feeling like that team needs to go 3-0 in those first 3. I don't see regular season Miami game as gimmies. Probably, maybe the same way the Chiefs wouldn't see us coming in there in that way.
Sure.
Miami beats us there occasionally, or makes us look bad or get nervous, and certainly keeps it close. So, I can't give us that one. And that's my fear, bringing it back to that 3-game stretch. I mean, that 3-game stretch is brutal. Almost like, all right, I can at least exhale if we find a way to go 1-2, or if we get stuck going 1-2, I can at least all right. But,
yeah, that is tough.
That'd be an ugly 3-game losing streak very early.
For sure. All right. So back to Bernard. Now, when I said who is this year's Bernard, you don't have a specific player, but you said it will be somebody who is new to the roster. I got 2 guys that I'd like to throw at you, and you tell me what you think. And everyone out there watching and listening, and tell us what you think as well. They're both veterans. One's new, one's a returner. The new guy, I think, is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think he's going to play a lot more than people think early in the year. I think Keon Coleman is going to be brought along slowly. That's not to say Keon Coleman will not be an outstanding player for the Buffalo Bills for years to come. But I do not think that he needs to be rushing the lineup. And I could see a lot of Shakir, MVS, and Samuel. Jesus, the name was escaping me. Curtis Samuel. Those are your top 3 receivers early in the season, I think. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is going to get Davies going to have a couple big games. I'm not saying dude's going to have 1,100 yards, 65 catches, and 9 touchdowns, but no one's thinking shit about him right now. Just like last year, no one thought shit about Terrell Bernard. I think MVS is definitely a guy that has that kind of potential to be this year's. And then a returning guy, I think somebody who thinks that everyone thinks he's on borrowed time. Maybe he is, but I kind of like the way Taylor Rapp played at the end of last season. And he feels like an afterthought right now. He was huge in the Miami game. I mean, you can make an argument he was the difference
Big pick.
in the Miami game. He missed the playoffs because he got hurt on that interception, to seal the Bills division. I could see him having a good year.
Rapp was out in the KC loss?
Yeah, got hurt when he made that interception to end the Miami's.
Who the fuck was next? Who was next to Poyer in the KC loss?
It was Poyer and Hyde.
We rolled out.
Oh, and
Hyde was a big.
Who the hell was it?
We rolled out AJ Klein and our number four safety in that game.
Cam Lewis, I think, might have played. It's escaping me. I can promise you,
You're
it was not
100%
Taylor
sure
Rapp.
it wasn't Rapp.
I'm 100% sure Taylor Rapp did not play in the playoffs. He got hurt on that interception. He missed the playoffs.
That's a worthy excuse for fucking last year, man. We should have won that fucking game.
It is.
Let's go Bills.
I'm not an injury guy, but man,
I'm psyched.
You can't. It was Cam Lewis who was coming in when they were going to like that 3 safety set against Kansas City for sure. But anyway, yeah, dude. I hate injuries as an excuse, but last year absolutely
decimated, man.
Decimated for sure.
But never Josh.
Let's you've been waiting.
That's the decimated.
You've been waiting all these points to get to something offensive, so we'll go there now. James Cook is a top 5 running back in all-purpose yards next to McCaffrey. That's his bullet point. Is James Cook someone to be excited about?
Well, this is my first I don't want to call it disagreement, but I can just answer, in terms of my excitement over these players, and the 3 defensive ones, move the meter for me. This one does not. All right. I'm not sure yet about James Cook. I'm not sure that that he wasn't the product of just some really good design, a team that you have to fear the quarterback and the passing game and the quarterback's legs. I think Cook might be in as good a situation as any rookie running back, 2 years ago or whatever could have come into. And
sure.
He's
He was 4th in the NFL in rushing.
I don't care.
Year.
All right.
I'm with you. I tend to lean towards
catch
you
the
on
ball
this.
against Philly, bro.
He dropped
all right.
3
Those
touchdowns.
are the types of shits that I need. All right. I need some clutch, some clutch plays. I don't know what clutch looks like. I know when I see it, though. All right. I need James Cook to help us win hard football games. All right. Even if I know how stupid and old school this sounds. All right. But if I'm up a score in Baltimore in week whatever it is, and I need to close out a road game, and I happen to design 2 runs or something like that in my series, you better fucking find 2.5 extra yards out of those 2 runs, man. All right, do that shit for me. Help me close a team out type shit, not running up, gashing Dallas all game long for whatever that was. Help me close some real hard football games out. All right. That's the type of shit that would excite me about James Cook.
That's very fair. It's also kind of ironic that
also kind of not who he is, though. Like, is it going to be? It might be that rookie, man. Might be that big-bodied 4th rounder, right? Maybe he becomes your, what do they call it, the 4-minute drill when you're trying to get rid of the clock. I don't know. I don't know. But someone needs to be that guy. I still need that guy on my roster.
I agree with you. Actually, I was saying it was ironic that.
You're
not moving the needle,
Bills.
But
it's going to end up all Bills. I'm not going to get out anything about Eminem's album, baseball. Paul Skeens fucking might as well be a political candidate right now for how little chance I have of getting him on this show. All right. This is going to be all Bills.
I was going to go back to that, Oliver, but I'm going to skip that. What I will say, though, and I agree with you, my mindset changed a little bit when Bruce Nolan was on a couple weeks ago. I would ask you if you watched that show, but I know better than to ask you if you watched one of these episodes. Bruce Nolan. He was on a couple weeks ago.
I was, look, people seem to like him. He's got a very level head. He took some time with getting back at it. He seems excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you've had him on and speak highly of him, and he's got good content.
He does.
Bruce might be kind of the Tim Graham for me of the.
That's a great take
of
podcasting.
Yes.
That's
just a little too quick of a trigger. Just like, the whole, like, I get, he's got good advice, man. He's basically bangs the drum. People, you can dictate your entire mental health of Twitter by just muting people. That's a great take. All right. But I think he's quick. I don't know that he ever muted me. I don't know that he ever muted me. I just think he overdoes it a little bit, and he's a little too proud of steak on Thanksgiving. But
that's funny. That's fair too. But what he said specifically in regards to James Cook that got me thinking is he talked about last year, and it's easy to look at the stats. James Cook was 4th in the NFL in rushing. James Cook, to some extent, kind of became a bell cow running back to the Bills, but that's not who he is. And last year, you got to look at. They wanted Latavius Murray to be more important, especially down the stretch, than he was. Latavius Murray kind of fell off a cliff in the second half of the season. And Damian Harris was a guy that they had a pretty significant role kind of carved out for, and he got hurt.
Can I jump on this real quick?
Go ahead.
I love this conversation, though, because it is a very underrated, because it's really not might not be that important, but if you dig this kind of shit, it's something that I don't think anyone's ever really approached it from. The Bills last couple years at least, they've gone veteran, all right, on that big body back. Yeah. Harris, Murray, can't remember who it was the year before, but I believe it was a veteran. They tried Fournette and stuff like that. A little bit of a shift there. All right, that number 2 back, the banger,
mm-hmm.
A 4th round pick. If this guy is that, and I think that's what they think he is. Is I don't know his name. I'm done. I'm done. I might be done after Cole Bishop. Who's our 3rd rounder?
Ray Davis.
Yes. I just think it's interesting how they went young from how old they were last year with Murray. All right, these are guys who are going to carry the football this year. All right, there's going to be a big body carrying the football for this team. That's how they roll.
James Cook could still do well in terms of rushing yards compared to the league, because there's probably 23, 24 teams like the Bills right now that don't have a bell cow running back right now that will use a combination. But yeah, for sure. I'm not excited about James Cook, but
I'll also say this. All right. Depending upon the way Brady may use him, and if Josh happens to get checked down crazy a time or two, like, James Cook is also a guy that it wouldn't shock me if after week 5, all right, he were in like the top 10 betting favorites for MVP. Like, James Cook could get stupid.
Could be like Thurman Thomas level.
James Cook could get stupid.
Sure.
I'm just saying I ain't there yet.
Oh, I agree with you.
Not to where I'm like all that excited.
Agree with
but
you.
I think he's good.
I'm not comparing him to Thurman Thomas,
tier,
but he's got that all scrimmage yards type of game like Thurman did. Let's go back to the defense. Aaron goes back to the defense with this one, and he says that they've never had a better and deeper front 7 in the McDermott era. I just tell you this right off the bat, I don't agree with this take. 2022, and I had to write this down. They had a healthy and 2 years younger Von Miller, and they also had Tremaine Edmonds. Now, they didn't have Bernard. I get that. But I don't know, man. Maybe it's close.
He can get away with saying it. He can get away with saying it.
Yeah.
He can probably back it up. All right. I'm not gonna try real hard to, but you could get to the depth
Yeah.
Like your top three. If Vaughn is, again, I'm gonna state this emphatically now, not in tone, but I'm just prefacing it by saying I mean it emphatically. And it's going to carry through the majority of the season for me. I need Von Miller to be last year's Leonard Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? That's what I need. That's all I need. Anyways, if I get that, and where I think, Greg Rousseau is in his career, and where I think AJ Epinesa is in his career, and you put that on the inside, all right, with Daquan and Oliver, Daquan Jones, who we didn't even bring up at all, but we really all wanted back. I'm not sure we're going to be right on that one. That one might have been a little bit of a signing for the heart. But there's depth behind him,
Dwayne Carter, too. They drafted Dwayne Carter.
Yeah, that's the number 3.
Big reason why they made that trade.
I wouldn't have been able. You could have held a gun to my head and be like, Pucks, I'm going to fucking blow you. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm listening to a little too much Eminem right now. I'm sorry. And I don't mean to bring up gun violence. I could have never given you our 3rd round draft pick right now, dude.
Yeah.
They
that's a big reason why the Bills traded down. They wanted that 3rd round pick. They liked Dwayne Carter. All right, I could buy it. All right, you kind of convinced me, but you need Von Miller to be something. He can't be last year's Von Miller. He's got to be, even if he's close to Leonard Floyd, 8 sacks.
And then I need it in the clutch. And then I need it in the clutch. All right, I need him to close out a playoff game too.
I agree. I agree. Mean? It's a good. All right, so it's a good front seven.
Honestly,
Terrell Bernard might be better than Tremaine Edmonds was. So you know what? Maybe I'll come around on that.
I'm going to put Von Miller on the list just because I'm going to be like, yo, man, come on, please. I mean, that is, that's the epitome of excitement, man. You know what I mean? Is like hope. Come on, dude. Be the Von of old. Dip that shoulder and explode.
Show me good.
That. Show me that. I mean, all male nipples are going to be like piercing fucking.
I get it. Look. Let me ask you something real quick. That's why I took over. I took over instead of leaving you hanging out there. Joe from Queens. Joe from Queens is not a big fan of watching football players in t-shirts and shorts work out and do stuff that doesn't have equipment and contact. I'll say though, these Von Miller clips. I don't know if you've seen any of them of him pass rushing. You buying it at all?
Nope.
No.
0.
I don't believe anything he fucking says.
I'm 100. But look,
I'm like, look, it looks pretty
all right.
good.
Look, the fact that he's out there at least I have no idea if the clip I'm watching, all right, is indicative of a guy who's got his explosiveness back coming off his injury. I have no idea. It could be a fucking high school kid rep for all I know, and I wouldn't have a clue as to how good that rep looked. All right, but what I do know is this. The guy's passion is pass rushing, man. I mean, it's just, I don't know what else he would be doing.
He sounds embarrassed about last year.
If he wasn't passionate about it. I don't know what else he'd be doing it for. I think he does like to yuck it up. I think he does like to be the center of attention.
He's always wrong too.
Yeah. I think he
was embarrassed about last year. Don't you think he was embarrassed about the way he played? It certainly sounds like in interviews. I'm not saying he's throwing the organization under the bus, but he's saying I should have been out there. I was out there too early, even though he was the one pushing the play.
Yeah. No, I think embarrass is a great word. Yeah. I think embarrass is a good word to use for how he, might have felt about it. And hey, give him credit, man. All right. At least he didn't sit there and talk about, almost act like, hey, I was still on point, or I was still, right. Because that's a guy who's like, he knows it's kind of over, man. And he's just he knows his good shit is behind him. When you say it was because I was still hurt, all right, you're kind of doubling down on, I'm going to be that player again.
Sure.
Right. So I credit Miller for that. And Miller would make my list of guys that I'm excited to see. Now, the minute he starts to look like last year's Von Miller, I'm going to be sick to my stomach as a fan. But you want to be excited again about guys that, make exciting plays. And that's why Cook also, belongs on the list.
Von Miller is a legacy kind of guy too. And I would think at this point of his career, it's not even really so much about money now. I would think that he doesn't want to spend, because if he sucks this year too, if he plays this year like he did last year, he's done at this age. And in Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame career, no question about that. But you really want your career to end by having 2 absolutely awful seasons with the Bills? So I'm sure he's going to be highly motivated, if for no other reason than that. I'll give him credit for that much, at least. I think the motivation and the passion for him is there to have a bounce back year.
I'd give him the old school, training camp Bruce rules and shit like that. Von, man, you can come kind of whenever you need.
Yeah.
All right. Let's be there on Sunday, man.
Yeah, for sure.
If you got a podcast or something to do, it's all good, man.
I want to. Yeah.
Let's be in the meetings on Saturday. Make one practice.
Fair enough.
And we'll see you on Sunday.
Shout out my guy Joe. He kind of echoed what we said. He said the passion to take a pay cut, embarrass, and has something to prove to his team, not as a career, but to the team. He will come out heavy, and as Buck said, we need him in the clutch. All right, 2 more spots that Aaron wanted that he had on. I wanted to touch on. One of them was this. He said the 2 corners are the best starting duo we've had in this era. I'm like, I don't know, man. Trey White and Levi Wallace were pretty damn good. And I don't love the cornerback position right now. I like the starters. I don't like what's behind them. I'm really nervous. These guys get banged up a lot. We've seen a lot of cornerback injuries over the last few years. I think the focus, maybe it should excite me. I don't know, but Kyrie Elam, what is he? Because what he is going to matter this year. He's going to play, or they're going to go get somebody else. They're going to have to, because somebody's going down. I mean, you can't count on 2 guys playing 17 games, and Kyrie Elam is such an enigma. But anyway, to Aaron's point, he says that these are the best 2 corners that the Bills have had during this era.
This is a kind of a fun way to look at it. The dudes that were mentioned in the first part of this, all right, are not that interesting of a training camp type of follow. All right.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to get much from what's happening in the front 7, either depth chart wise, scheme wise, or anything in training camp. But the corners and the secondary completely, think about this dynamic. You want to talk about a training camp fucking story or battle to watch. This is it right here. All right. You have an entirely fucking revamped secondary. And I know that Douglas has been here. All right. But there's a newness still about him. All right. There's a newness still about Douglas. And is Benford gonna, continue to ascend? There are, storylines there. And then you take the safeties, who I just consider to be brand new, even if Rapp was here. All right.
Yeah. He didn't play much last year.
Add Cole Bishop to it. The battle between the completely revamped secondary and the completely revamped passing game. Is there any fucking story bigger than that in training camp? Is there any battle bigger? All right. And look, I'm going to take all kinds of credit for this if nobody said it first. All right. Because this is good shit. This right here, if it hasn't been said already, is a money quote. I may not deliver it as such, but what fucking training camp battle, all right, is bigger than watching your revamped passing attack go against your revamped secondary?
Yeah. No, I haven't heard that. I'll give you.
Might just be a walk-off. I'd like to get another one of these delicious surf sides.
Well, yeah. What are you doing? A commercial for these guys? Fucking now.
What I said.
They're good, though.
I think I'm going to go in. I think I'm going to try to get us a sponsor.
I'll say this. There's not a starting battle at either cornerback position. Douglas and Benford are starting. To me, the interest is Bishop versus Rapp. Edwards, is he...
You understand what I'm saying, though? I'm talking from a schematic perspective.
I know what you're saying.
I'm not talking about there being battles in the position groups,
Agreed.
Although there are battles in the wide receiver position group. I'm just talking about how good the passing attack looks.
Agreed.
Versus how good we can check them.
Agreed.
Okay. I just want to make sure you know.
That's agreed. I'm just talking about...
That's where I was coming from.
No, absolutely. The other thing, even though Mike Edwards doesn't have any competition, so to speak? I think he kind of does. Because if Mike Edwards is not getting it, if he's not grasping it, if he gets banged up, whatever negative happens to Mike Edwards, whether it's physical or mental, don't rule out Micah Hyde coming back yet. That's still on the table.
Fair.
I believe that's at least still on the table. Corner, like I said, Kyrie Elam is he's somebody I will probably be watching among the top 3 to 5 Bills players at camp as strongly as anyone, because they're going to need a third corner, whether it's him or someone else. But anyway, to Aaron's point, end of the day, are you Trey White or Levi Wallace, or are you Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford? Because that's what he said.
Well, Trey in his heyday.
Yeah.
All right. Trey shut down half the field.
Agreed.
And that to me, you don't have in either one of the guys that we're currently talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I think they're both probably better NFLers than Levi Wallace. All right. But Trey was elite for those.
Agreed.
That far too short a period
100%.
of time. Wouldn't it be nice to see him be elite for the Rams?
Yes.
Wouldn't we kind of root for the Rams?
100%.
A little bit. Who the fuck's their quarterback?
Stafford.
Is it still Stafford? They will always be able to contend with Stafford, but Donald retired. There's probably nothing on that team defensively right now.
No, I not that they lost. Yeah, losing Donald, definitely for sure. They'll be good though. And the Bills play at LA. You want to talk about another tough stretch? They got that Rams, Detroit, Frisco stretch later in the season, as well.
It's a hard schedule.
It
man.
is. It is.
It's a
Well, at
hard
least 2 chunks of
schedule.
it are. Last point that Aaron made. He said Kincaid's considered a top 10 tight end already. All right, I agree with that. I think most people would agree with that.
Kincaid's a player to be excited about, though. Like, my man's hit on all kinds of players to be excited.
Is he going to be more of a seam threat? Is he going to be a guy who starts catching balls a little more down the field, making bigger plays? Last year he caught passes. I wouldn't say he made a bunch of bigger plays.
All right, here,
I'm excited. I'm excited to Aaron's point. I agree with this one because I'm excited to see him become not necessarily more just targets and catches, but a bigger weapon in the offense.
I think he has a potential to ascend right to tight end 2 in the fantasy ranks and in the eyes of NFL evaluators. I think he's got, tight end 2 in the league. I never used that phrase. I think I think he can be.
People start calling you a homer.
I think he can be the second best tight end in the league by like midseason.
Really? That's a homer take right there, my guy.
I mean, look, man.
You rarely ever get called a homer by anyone. I'm just,
and
you don't watch his show if you really believe that, because wait till the Bills lose a game in September and Tone's on for a post game. You will not be calling him a homer then.
Kincaid might get stupid, man.
It's
Kincaid's
possible.
numbers might be stupid.
It's
and I
feasible.
do think that there'll be game change. Look, let's not forget. All right, a big chunk of the early Kincaid catch production were garbage 4 to 7 yard flares that made like no impact on certain drives, man. I think we're gonna see, like, I'm not saying that tight end 2 necessarily means 800, 900 yards receiving, although it should, but I think he's gonna impact football games in spectacular highlight reel ways.
I'd like to see it.
He's gonna score touchdowns.
I'm excited about that.
Score touchdowns.
I'm definitely excited about that.
Brady's gonna kill it with these weapons. Brady, that's the thing that everybody's too Diggs centric. All right, with the offensive concerns. All right, Brady, I think is gonna go down as an offensive mastermind type. I think he's destined for big shit.
Okay.
I think he's destined for big shit. And I think he's going to use these weapons, man. He lost a lot of shit down the stretch last year. And I just think, losing Davis, still having a lot of unfamiliarity with the players and, leaning on the run the way that he had to. I mean, we did some really good things that we had never done before under Brady last year. And I think it's only going to get, better.
I forgot one thing that
I'm
Aaron
just going
said.
homer after homer. And yeah, I'm fucking blowing Joe
You are.
Brady
Well,
and
I'm going to give you one
fuck.
more Bills opportunity. One last Bills opportunity to be even more of a homer tonight. And Aaron's last point, I forgot about this one. It's a pretty big one, too. He says, actually, I think the Bills roster is just as good as any we've seen in the Josh Allen era. Do you agree with that? Because if you say
Look,
yes,
man.
you may as well go get a Buffalo Bills hat and a Buffalo Bills t-shirt to throw on for the rest of this episode.
All right,
You want me to go
first
get you
of all,
a Bills Mafia
first
t-shirt
of all,
to wear for this?
Your little show art, all right, coming into this should absolutely just be Pat and Pucks break down Aaron Quinn's tweet. All right, and we done that shit for the whole fucking episode.
I like it. He had some good points, though.
He
They
did.
produced some good points.
He did, but it's crazy how you just, you get to the Bills. Not you, but just in general, the conversation always circles back to the Bills.
Is this roster as good now as it's been at any point of the Josh Allen era?
I think it's gonna be. I can't say it right now. If I had to say it right now, I'd say no, not yet, because there are guys that I think are gonna contribute big time by midseason that ain't quite there.
They're
yet.
not heralded.
All right,
yet.
they're not quite there yet.
Okay,
but I think as the passing game familiarizes itself with one another, as guys like Coleman and Bishop and Carter.
Can I make some breaking news as you've given me this take from your guy and our little text thread, the three of us? Cousin Dan, you know what he says, word for word? This shit is turning into One Bills Live. Talking about you being a homer. I had to stop the show.
Yo, that's beautiful. This shit is turning into
This is One Bills Live. This is a commercial for the Buffalo Bills.
That is the perfect quote. That was beautiful.
It was. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're in the middle of a good take. You were in the middle of a good take.
Look, I like our roster.
I
like our roster. All right. We are finally established, all right, as the team that, easily can fill in the pieces with guys that want to win. Okay. And that helps a ton, man. That helps with a Curtis Samuel, despite the money,
Sure.
And Mike Edwards, we're able, all right, to restock the cupboards, all right, pretty easily, even if it's just on 1 year, with veteran guys that want a chance to win. And this is it started a couple years ago, but it's firm right now. And no matter what people want to say about the windows closing, we are firmly entrenched, all right, in an era right now where people think they can come here and compete for a championship. And that's why we're able to, to really fill out our roster, and to say that we could fill it out as good as any roster that we've had in this era is fair. But, you're also talking about the injuries that impacted the rosters that came before it, when if those rosters were healthy in crunch time, if we had a healthy Trey White for 13 seconds, let's not forget about that. One of the most important motherfuckers that we could have possibly, all right, wanted for that football game. All right. No, those rosters, if they were all healthy together, those rosters were loaded.
I thought last year's
rosters were loaded. Yeah, but you weren't talking prime, Trey. No, we're talking prime Trey. You didn't know about Bernard yet. Edmonds was gone.
That's what I'm saying, though. The answer is no. This roster is not as good as it was in 2020, 2021. Not even close, man. You had Diggs and Beasley more in their prime. You had a more prime Poyer and Hyde.
Yo, with Sanders, a few weeks where Sanders was catching balls and shit. That was like we're just throwing dude after dude after dude at you. That's what I'm looking for Chase Claypool.
That roster was by far better. What?
Yeah,
what? No, you're not Chase Claypool, man. Come on.
Oh, listen to me. All right, let's listen. And here's how I got there. All right, you want Bill's fucking shit? Here, I'm gonna keep going. Thought about Brandon Ayuk the other day. Never been as a matter of fact, I tweeted at you. All right, a great Richie April clip about. No, say never. The guy's a shopping cart. I was never would have worked with Ayuk, but one of the things that I really thought about there was the Bills have made their wide receiver plan for the year. They have executed their wide receiver room for the year. In my opinion, they have it how they want it. So that would sway me from the Ayuk. But here's what I thought about, and it ties into something that you said earlier today, all right, about Keon Coleman. There would be a path, okay, to how to manage Brandon Ayuk coming to Buffalo. And that's kind of, a slow, early Keon Coleman redshirting of sorts. All right, while the rest of it just kind of plays out. But anyways, I still fell on the fact that shit ain't happening.
No, it's not happening.
All right,
that's not happening. Stop thinking about a Bills fan. It's not happening.
But the part that resonated with me was the part that I think I do kind of believe that if there's a biggest question mark of the passing game, outside of the fact of how does it come together with all these new pieces, outside of the big part, all right. Of that, but just kind of within, the weapons, the biggest question mark for me would be Coleman. All right. There are second round receivers, late first, all right, early second round receivers who come out and don't get it early. Plenty of them, man. And if Coleman becomes that guy, you're going to be very thankful, all right, that you have a Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who I literally, during the exercise of going through how Brandon Ayuk could potentially fit, completely forgot about for the entire time. Forgot about MVS, man. I went from Shakir, Samuel, Coleman, all right, straight to Hollins. To Hollins and Claypool, forgetting entirely about MVS. See, that's where Aaron can make his argument, because that shit is deep. And I'm not sure I give a fuck that it doesn't have an alpha. I don't either. I'm really not sure that I give a fuck that it doesn't have an alpha.
I'm with you on that. And look, one last point, too, about that roster. This is as things stand now. Who knows? To your point, you said this earlier.
The tight end.
Come November.
And a good second
guys one. Like Benford and Shakir and Kincaid and Osiris Torrance and a lot Cole Bishop. These young guys are going to get better. They haven't peaked. They haven't hit their prime
Super Bowl.
Stop it. Joe from Queens is going to have a field day with this episode. Couple quick things. So those are some good Bills talking points.
Bills talking points.
You talked about
just what I came here for.
You told me today. I asked you this morning. I said, "Are you coming tonight? I need you to confirm, or do I need to, try to come up with an ulterior plan?" And you gave me a little bit of list of shit you wanted to hit on, and you said why off-season quarterback debates are the worst content right now. Why?
This thing get pushed out during that last segment. Didn't we somewhat touch on this?
A little bit. Not really, though.
It's okay. I came up on the way here. I thought about it, you asking me about it, and I came up with the word that is comfortable for me, but that's a little more fair than just saying because it bores me to death, because it does.
It does.
All right. The debate bores me to death. It's so incomplete. All right. No matter what side is winning that argument right now, it's so incomplete. They're about to go head to head. All right. In the second month of the season, they are likely to be leading their teams to championship, runs 2 or 3 more times each. Now, by championship runs, I don't mean much more than, getting in the playoffs, but, they're not done competing against each other, putting up stats, all right, and building their legacies. I'm not interested in it halfway through the game, and that's kind of where it falls for me. You want to look, Lamar people can, as long as they don't do it stupidly, Lamar people should just say 2 things, all right? 2 MVPs, drop the mic, get the fuck off the stage, all right? That shit's huge. It's huge.
It is.
All right.
You can't take that away.
Look, I think Josh Allen's the better football player. All right. I think he's had the better career. I think they're both going to end up Hall of Famers.
Oh, I agree. 100%. Well, Lamar detractors, look, dude, it's 2-4 in the playoffs. He's got 6 touchdowns in 6 games in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big sample
bad
size.
stats.
Yeah, he's not good in the playoffs.
Bad playoff stats.
But he's got 2 MVPs.
And that's what the Buffalo fans can fire back with, But we sit there and we go through the minutia of each of these things. Like, we find out these little pockets of stats that are gonna like, oh, this is the one that's gonna make our argument. No, man, it's all the same. All right,
I agree with that.
It's all the same. They're 2 unbelievably exciting football players to watch. And people, people choose sides, but I'm with guys, and I appreciate guys like Orlovsky who will just go on the next day. There was another guy I saw today that said it too. Like the morning shows jumped on that shit too. You know what I mean? Not
about calling Josh Allen overrated.
Yeah. Not that I'm a big talking heads guy, but so it's just I don't think the the NFL executive was, trying to troll. All right. I do think a couple teams are, whatever. We talk maybe about 4 execs per team when you factor in heads of personnel and things like that, just how wide this, this net was. But I'm sure there's a handful of evaluation guys in the NFL who still think he's a quarterback that takes too much risk.
And that's not entirely untrue. That said, he's played at a level.
But you can't throw the word overrated out there. That word's fucked.
I agreed.
Like that word's that's just the wrong one, man.
He's
that's
played
just
too
the
good.
wrong
He's
one.
played good enough in big moments.
This is a stupid football player. This is a revolutionary football player.
Josh Allen is
better. A revolutionary football player.
He's deserved more than he's gotten from this team in the playoffs. He's played he's played some bad games too. He was not good against the Bengals. He didn't play that well in a couple wins, including that Baltimore win in Buffalo with Taron Johnson, going back to him, had that big interception. But he's played well enough to get to a Super Bowl in 2 different playoff runs. I feel like right now, I don't know. The overrated thing I agree with. The one thing I also, and you've been a homer this whole episode, so I'm going to be one for 30 seconds here. The whole Buffalo-Miami rivalry thing. The fans from Miami, even comparing Tua to Josh Allen, that's where I get fucking annoyed. It's like the Bills when you couldn't, you don't want to compare yourself to the Patriots in all those years. Don't do it. You got to win. You don't win shit. You don't get to compare yourself to another team. When has Miami beaten Buffalo in the last handful of years in any kind of game that matters?
I don't think Miami is any different.
Their fans talk a lot of shit, though.
Let me tell you why I think we think.
And media.
Because they're media a little bit, but we all follow each other. All right. There are people when they center their entire existence in this, in this Bills Mafia, life on Twitter, they center their whole existence around these debates. All right. The slightest shit talking of a dopey Miami fan becomes like a topic in our Twitter feeds because we're so bizarrely obsessed with this fucking football team, man. I mean, let's remove ourselves from Buffalo and Miami for a minute and place ourselves in I don't know, fucking Ohio State and Michigan. All right. I'm sure it's just as bananas, but between the two, we just glom to it because we love to make the argument for how much better our team is. We just bring it.
They are better.
We just bring it onto ourselves.
Agreed.
Why don't we just ignore these people and talk about Paul Skeens or something? Why do I end up watching these fucking subtweets of Bills fans and the guy who looks like the Irishman caricature, and he's just always
I get it.
Always defending something about the Bills. It's so boring. It's so boring.
It's content, I guess. It's this time of year. It gets hard to come up with topics, but you're right. I think it's a little overboard when we're doing entire segments and not entire shows based on what a fan or a media person or John O. Smith last week, I'd actually give him credit. Talk your shit, man. I got no issue with that whatsoever. Talking shit about Buffalo being the worst. Good for him, man. I'm all for a good rivalry. Before we get out of here, look, I'm not going to let you have baseball. That's not going to happen. We're late into the show. You're not going to get your baseball this week. But I do value your Sabres opinions, and we have not talked. So we'll switch gears here to end the podcast. Sabres have been very busy. How productive they've been, I guess that's, beauty's in the eyes of the beholder there. But they have remade the bottom six. They do have a new head coach. Let's not forget about that. I don't know. What are you thinking about this team right now? I think they're done. And then some people think they're still going to get a top six guy. I do not think that's going to happen, but maybe I'm wrong. What do you think right now? The season's starting in a couple weeks. How are you feeling about this team with all of the pressure, and I mean all of the pressure on Kevin Adams right now to deliver?
They've done enough to pique my interest. All right. Ruff was enormous. I don't know that I got into it. I may have gotten into it a little bit the last time I was here, but enough so to where I did some serious dope ass season ticket seat hunting for a minute there with the Sabres, just so I could sit there and stare at watch Lindy Ruff work, all night. Did we talk about that? I feel like we did. You probably weren't paying attention.
No, you were. I probably wasn't paying attention. You were talking about if they hired Lindy Ruff, you were going to at least consider. You're going to toy with the idea of getting.
I went and toyed with the idea of trying to round a group up to pay about $5,000 to sit smack dab behind Lindy Ruff 41 nights.
Didn't work out.
Died on the vine, but I do think as soon as singles come out, bro, I'm going to get the 11 game package. All right. Down from the 20 from last year. I lose a little bit of I lose probably a significant chunk of the discount on an 11 pack over the 20. But you get to hand pick them. And I think I'm going to hand pick them. And I think I'm going to sit fucking right at like center ice where I can watch over Lindy Ruff's shoulder. Like, I'm talking about the ones that I looked at when I was down at the arena for some event that they had. Were right behind Lindy Ruff, where you'd see my face on the screen. But think about it, man. All right, like aside from Allen and whatnot, what other local legend could you have an opportunity like that to just sit behind and watch work anytime you want? Like, I'm not going to be there 41 times. All right. But just to stand literally behind Lindy Ruff with nothing more than a plane of glass between you. All right. If you're a big Lindy guy, and I think there's a lot of big Lindy guys out there, I think some would be like, damn, he's making some sense. That shit would be cool as fuck. I mean, think of it, just standing right behind Lindy's ass the whole game, watching his emotion, watching how he talks to, each player.
Sure.
Is that not as much, all right, of the interest coming into this season or the fun of stuff besides what you're getting on the ice? You're losing a little bit on the ice, by the way, because you've got the prism effect. If you're sitting in the front row, you've got the benches meeting the side panels, and you get that prism effect down around each goal, and that would suck. But the trade-off is you sit behind Lindy Ruff 10 times a year for about $2,000. All right. You willing to pay a deuce to sit right behind Lindy Ruff for a Sabre game? I am. I'm not saying, look, I would break it off. I would even break off my 10. All right. But about 5 times.
Are you trying to get to early season games?
What's that?
Like, if you got.
Yeah. This is how
games.
I know we definitely had the conversation, because this is what you brought up the last time I talked about it, is you better get them in early, because you're going to be fucked in the back half of the season because no one's going to want to go.
No, that's not because of that. Well, yes, but no. Also because when you start getting down on the team, homer pucks can go away real quick.
Yeah. I'd also
pessimistic pucks can rear its ugly head, and Lindy Ruff's in your sight of vision.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That would.
I mean, my God. I would have to toe a very, very straight line. Well, Well, no, you know, what's it called when you got to kind of balance, walking the tightrope, between not losing my season tickets for good. But I'll tell you right now, I think I'd be a joy to have behind Lindy Ruff in bad times as well. Anyways, back to the team on the ice. I thought they were big game hunting. I made some tweet out, and this is the beauty of not being followed by anybody, because when you have an absolute clunker, in terms of a terrible take, nobody paid attention. But I said, by this time next week, you will look at the Sabre roster and be like, this is a playoff roster, period. I thought they were going big. And they didn't do that because, they didn't get a top 6 guy, unless you want to, consider Zucker spending time up there. The fact that they went and got a solid number 3, it came out of nowhere. All right. Like a very good number 3 that kind of came out of nowhere. Maybe you don't love it if you're a Savoy Goy guy, but whatever, man. I mean, we're loaded still. I got no problem ditching Savoy when I got to win. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, it looks a lot like, as far as the big boys are concerned, we're running it back, right? Our top 5 is still looking like our top 5 right now, and injuries will be scary. All right, the ability to fill in that top 6, if there's an injury, is going to be scary. But I do think that the pipeline has a couple candidates right now for immediate promotion if we were to lose a top 6. Kulich is the obvious one.
Yep.
And there might be you might be able to say the same about Roseanne, man, that in the loss of a top 6, if you got to go to the farm, say you don't want to pull Benson up, but you might just bump everybody one. But if you really need to keep a potent player in the lineup, it gets tough after 5. That's what I want to. That's the take I want to be remembered. All right. If you really I forgot the take already. No, man. I mean, if you want to stay potent, all right, outside of the top 5, it's going to take some farm guys, all right, and it gets pretty diluted after 5. And this is including a guy in Alex Tuck that I don't think is a slam dunk top 5 guy on anybody's roster. Although there was a list of 100 forwards put out the other day, and Tuck was the second one named after Thompson. Thompson was like 31. Tuck was like right at the end, like number 80. And therein lies a big part of the problem. Those are our 2 best players, and they're ranked number 31 and 80 on the list of forwards in the league. Big problem there. We're banking on the same top end core, and that's worth being nervous about. But I love the way we filled it out behind them.
Let me give you a quick potential bold prediction type take right now, because they haven't gotten their top 6 guy. Doesn't mean they're not going to. It just ain't going to happen now. I'll say this. I think they're going to suck me into being optimistic about them because, a lot of these guys, and this is all predicated on them not having a bunch of injuries. I mean, that will derail them, or most teams for sure. But those guys that they're dependent on were good 2 years ago. That's one. 2, Lindy Ruff's a better coach than Granato. He's going to win a couple games that Granato doesn't win. And I do think the bottom 6 does matter. And I think their bottom 6 is clearly better than it was a year ago. To my potential bold prediction, nobody wants to come here right now because they ain't winning shit. But if they're in a playoff spot, come February of this coming season, there might be a couple players who be willing to come here, a couple rentals. And that's where you go get your top 6 guy, maybe for a push down the stretch for a prospect, draft picks, or whatever. And maybe they ain't getting nobody right now. Nobody wants to come here. But if they're in a position to be a playoff team come next January, February, maybe even early March or whatever, that's when they could go get a top 6 guy.
I like it.
That's a great fucking take.
And it was.
That's That was off the top of my head,
We're
too.
very
I didn't even think about
complimentary
that.
of each other today. But no, that is a good take, man. You know, you get some guys that have maybe waved that no movement. All right, when they see that,
Things are different. Finally,
yeah. And I think Krebs. I think all right, relax. And I think Krebs is the piece. You know what I mean? I think Krebs is the piece. But I think they'd be fine with rolling with what I would right now predict to be a slam dunk 13. We have a slam dunk 13 forwards right now. If we don't, all right. Well, I'm not including Kulik.
Nope.
All right. But we got a slam dunk 13 forwards right now. And Krebs might make us one heavy. But I think, I think Adams works well in fluid, roster builds. He was very patient with Eichel. I don't know that he really hit it with Eichel. But Tuck was a good piece. Obviously we've done well with our drafts, which the Vegas move contributed to. Krebs might tilt it Vegas's way. Well, Vegas wins the trade when they win the cup, but Krebs might make it a little tougher to swallow for Sabres fans if he fizzles, but we're still hanging on to him as an asset. Sure. And I think that might be why it's an asset that might get moved. But they've got pretty good flexibility right now. A Quinn type injury that came around this time. No, not this time. It was much closer. I feel. You won't remember.
I don't.
But whatever. Remember. A Quinn type injury.
We knew he was going to be out, though. They knew.
A Quinn type injury from last year to the top six would be scary right now. It's because
they can't withstand that.
It would mean Kulik is in.
They don't have the depth
in.
Yeah, they got 13 forwards. They don't have the depth right now, proven depth. I agree with you 100%. It would be Kulik that would come in if something were to happen to a guy like Quinn or Paterka or Tuck or something like that. They do not have the luxury.
It might be an unfinished offseason product, man. It might be an unfinished offseason product.
I don't think so. I just think they're going to maybe they get UPL a 3-year deal, a bridge deal, something like that.
Well, I don't mean those. I just mean as far as the roster is concerned. All right, there might be a guy. You might get your top six.
I hope you're right. I don't think it's accurate anymore. I don't think nobody wants to come here. I agree with all that.
Anyone
who matters does not want to come here.
I think some things got close and might.
And the deal breaker was your boy didn't want to come here. Got close, all right.
All right. What else is up? Man?
All right, are we done? You got anything else you want to hit on? Are we good?
That's bullshit.
All right, guys.
I didn't get to baseball.
No, you did not.
Or Eminem's new album.
I have not heard it yet, so let me listen to it first.
Fire.
Next time we'll have a little discussion about Eminem's new album. But anyway, for Tone Pucks, I'm Patrick Moran. Thank you for tuning in. Be back with a brand new show tomorrow. Talk to you guys then.